1. Launching.
We are back at the Intel Extreme Masters here in PyeongChang. We've just seen Serral win his first game in this best of 5. Scarlett, of course, winning the first 2. It's been a really dynamic series so far. We've seen Scarlett go for some really impressive teching in game number 1 and actually completely outmaneuvering economically Serral, taking him out. In game 2, Scarlett goes for a very definitive attack early on, stopping the game before it really ever started. And then in game 3, Serral managed to buckle down, deflect everything. Well, I guess I should say start out with an initial rush that crippled Scarlett on some level.
Yeah.
But eventually steer that game into a victory.
I mean, it's been the story of Serral finding a way to just get a handle on this series, right? Scarlett comes in here as the player who in a straight-up match is not favored. Serral is the favorite if they're going into a head-on war where they're both doing the same things. He's the one who's more technically perfect with his execution. But Scarlett, using the mental side of the game, she's bringing out surprising styles and strategies. She's creating different situations where she's excelling. The fear for her right now is this the moment where Serral has found a way to kind of just lock things down? How many more tricks does she have up her sleeve? We've seen 3 vastly different plays from her. How many more surprise tactics can she possibly have?
I think it should be noted that Scarlett did take a very real risk in game number 3, and she was punished for it. Of course, when you're ahead in a series like that, you're allowed to take some risks. Sometimes the early part of a StarCraft game is a bit of a poker match. But I think we may see a little bit more conservative play, at least with openings here from Scarlett. With Serral, I'm just not sure. It's like so far, if Serral can't get a leg up early on, he does struggle a little bit. Anyways, we are now ready. This is game number 4, Serral versus Scarlett. Introducing our first player in the bottom left, in the blue, from Canada, she is Scarlett. And her opponent in the upper right, in the red, from Finland, he is Serral.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me to see Serral just continue to play the styles he's known for here. If there's one player who loses a game like this and says, you know what, I didn't really necessarily feel like I need to change my strategies. I just need to execute that little bit better because I know I am the confident player here. I am very confident in my abilities. That's Serral. He comes in here knowing that he's played so many games of Zerg versus Zerg, and really even under pressure, even down games against the best players in the world, we've seen him just say, nope, I'm going to keep doing the same thing, but I'm going to do it that 2% better. I'm going to scout just that little bit better and adapt to your crazy builds. And as we go here into Black-Pink, this map is going to be quite straightforward and going to play towards that edge. So my real question mark is not what does Serral do, but it's how does he respond to what Scarlett does? What is she going to throw at him and how can he stop it?
Yeah, really the fragility of the matchup is, I think, something Scarlett is abusing here. The fact that especially if you're being aggressive and they don't have any counterattacks, there's so many moments where if you don't defend that attack perfectly, things begin to fall apart and get exponentially out of control. So in the early game here, we see both players are going to begin acquiring their initial expansions in order to gather more resources to ideally expand more later on, but also, of course, to make an army to try to attack their opponent and deny them from expanding as well. Scouting is key in any matchup of StarCraft. In this case, it's a mirror matchup of Zerg versus Zerg, but getting out and trying to discover what exactly your opponent is trying to do so you can respond correctly is key.
And of course, we did have that first-person shot of Scarlett there, showing just how quick she is at executing all her tasks in the early game. As a new viewer, it can sometimes be a little bit daunting seeing exactly what's going on, but realistically, it's just a habit there in terms of the players trying to get out every single thing as early as possible. If they can get down their expansion that little bit faster, they can harvest a tiny bit more money, have their army out a little bit faster, and that's where you gain edges in a game like StarCraft. And that's where speed can be just as essential as your decision-making and your problem solving. We're going to swap it to Serral's view now as he sends a queen over to defend his own third base while simultaneously harassing Scarlett's third base. And it does indeed look like his own third base is actually in a little bit of trouble. But his Zerglings come just in time and keep that alive.
As we now see, neither player can really do too much damage to each other. And in fact, both players will now take a third base. And once again, okay, never mind. I was about to say, once again, Serral actually gets in the main with that Zergling, but in game 4, that was thwarted there by Scarlett.
For now.
For now. But every other game, he's managed to sneak inside the main base.
This time it is Scarlett who wants to be aggressive in the Zergling phase of the game. A lot of Zerglings coming across the map here. Those Banelings are about to finish though. She knows it, and she does pull back most of those Zerglings.
Whoa! That was so fast. And you know, that was an attack that took, had it happened.
I'm not 100% sure what went on there because
we may have
had a technical issue there. The players are talking to each other. Scarlett raising a hand in surprise. She's not sure what just happened. She doesn't think she had that game down.
Either one of two things happened just there. Either Serral left immediately without formally typing out GG, which doesn't appear to be the case, the way the two players. Yeah, it looks like, in fact, there was some kind of a bug, and of course, we have a solution for this. We can actually pop back in.
Exactly, so they'll no doubt be resuming.
So,
unfortunately, of course, it is a very intense moment in the game, but the referee Jin is already down there solving the issue with the players, making sure he's finding, of course, a solution that fits in with the rule set there. It looks like, a little bit of a surprise there, and Scarlett at a very critical moment in her rush, right as she was mounting on the pressure. And that's a strategy which relies a lot on surprise.
That's right.
She's obviously going to be a little bit annoyed at the situation that's arisen here. And the Finn does gain a short respite in the middle of the push. No doubt these players are friends. They are going to kind of discuss it and figure out exactly what the fairest way to proceed is.
So, as you can see, we'll be hopping back into this game shortly. Now, that attack that was happening back there, every second counts because the phase that we were in was one where Serral was about to get the Banelings, the exploding units, which can detonate and kill off large numbers of those Zerglings, assuming that they get in a close proximity to it. So we get back into this game. We will be going right to that. But a lot of pressure here for Serral, as Serral is really on the ropes here.
Absolutely,
in this series, he's had a tough time. That's a lot of pressure from him, especially when you consider that he just won a major StarCraft 2 tournament before coming here into the Intel Extreme Masters PyeongChang. So
one mistake and it's going to slip away here. I mean,
that's right.
He's got no lives left. When you're down, your opponent's already taken 2 games in a best of 5. It's a hard situation. You've got to be very mentally tough, and you've kind of got to balance being on your toes with not getting too afraid of giving up that game, right? You can't afford to be overly safe because that's the moment where you stiffen up in your play and your opponent's going to run away with it.
So we have received confirmation that we will be hopping back into this game. This is one of the great things about, even though this is all taking place on a computer, if there is any error, we can jump right back into the game where we left off. So we'll be hopping in here at the 3-minute 40-second marker. And once both players give us the confirmation they are ready to go, we will hop on into that.
Yeah. So, of course, that is a situation where the players are going to have to try and resume on the fly and try to play it out from there. A very intense situation and something which can disturb the player's flow, but that's part of the skill of being a player. You've got to play in all sorts of conditions, and both of these players have competed in many different situations. You know, there's always issues that do come up similar to weather in many outdoor sports and so on. There's all sorts of things that can interrupt your flow. There can be all sorts of timeouts and things that come along. So part of the discipline of these players is maintaining their focus and also deciding, you know, do I stick with the same strategy that I was showing there? Do I change something up now that my opponent's aware of what was coming? There's a lot of decisions to be made, and how they remain cool and calm in these first 30 seconds following the resume, that's crucial.
You're exactly right. It's not something that happens very often, but it occasionally does happen. And from here, assuming that they do both behave in a similar fashion, or at least this engagement does somewhat go down, it's going to be up to Serral to try to deal with this attack that's inbound.
And with the economy, he was ahead, right? So he was up about 10 workers. So if he defends, he's in a good position. And you were talking before about the Banelings being the big equalizer. Of course, they're the acid exploding unit that just does massive damage. If they can catch a lot of Zerglings clumped up, you know, they're really huge. So Scarlett, she's got a lot of Zerglings, but they can't engage the Banelings head on. So, you know, we kind of hopped out of that game where she was trying to split into the different bases and spread apart, because the Banelings are a slow unit. They can't really keep up. And if she can do enough damage to the drones, pick off a queen or two, that's where she can say, I've done enough damage, I've made some more workers behind this, we can reset and go into a very even game. Of course, if she gets a lot of worker kills, that's where she runs away with it.
That's completely right. It's really a big fight between trying to have the right amount of workers so that you can get a big enough army, but also sometimes using that army to try to take out your opponent's workers, because things can snowball very quickly. If you lose too many workers, because if you're getting an attack like that, so you try to make defending units, well, if you're making a attacking or defending units, you're not making workers. And if you don't have enough workers, you can't then make those attacking and defending units. So
it's a push and pull, isn't it? In Zerg versus Zerg, you know.
You can get a real catch-22 there.
Trying to keep your opponent in check, making sure they don't out-drone you, build too many workers, while you yourself keep your own economy up. So very, very aggression-based, very back and forth as the players seek to keep each other in check. And it's a very intense moment for both players. We are going into the final seconds before we resume into this replay.
Yep. It should be up and good to go. And just as a quick reminder, we were 3-base versus 3-base, so no clear territorial lead. It was Scarlett that seemed to be leaning towards initiating aggression, whether that be to full-on engage an army and try to win a fight there, or if it was to try to split her army up and take out workers. We will see. And of course, it's not just knowing that an attack is coming, it's how do you fork these different units out, how do you engage, how do you juke and jive them to try to outmaneuver your opponent.
Pressure is tangible on both players' faces right now. It's definitely going to be an intense moment as we get back into this. Of course, Scarlett is up 2-1. She's one game away from sealing the deal and going through to the semi-finals here. Serral needs to win 2 in a row. Needs to win this one and the one following it. And that will give him another shot to get back in this series.
And I believe they are actually in game right now, it looked like, from the way they're moving their hands. So we will hop back into this. Okay, so the attack resumes now, and we can see that Scarlett does manage to get those links inside of the main. Meanwhile, trying to pin the queen, and it does get taken out. Serral in a lot of hot water right now. He needs to keep as many of these workers alive as possible.
He's still got a 7-worker lead right now, but I believe both queens have fallen. Scarlett with more Zerglings flooding across the map. She's adding her own Baneling nest now, but it has been quite delayed. She's starting to drone behind this. Remember, both players have 3 hatcheries, but Serral still with the superior income right now.
As you can see, some more Banelings are going to try to come up here. Scarlett cannot actually engage those directly. And with Serral now sending his army across the map, he might be trying to do a counterattack of his own.
Yep. Nice micro here from Scarlett, trying to take down these Banelings, but the Zerglings guarding them. Of course, if you can trade off just a couple of these cheap Zerglings to take out a Baneling, that's a good trade, and that's what Scarlett was trying to do. But Serral's blocking that maneuver. The Banelings being added in now for Scarlett as well. She's droned up behind this, so she does have a 2-worker lead, but Serral is on the warpath. He is coming over here with a monstrous counterattack.
And this may be very difficult for Scarlett to try to hold off here. Scarlett trying to get some position over here on this ramp so the army can't really run by. And I think think at this point in time the ramp is going to be potentially inaccessible if Serral doesn't navigate this correctly.
The Queen's being pulled to the front. A good choice by Scarlett, still keeping some of her Banelings alive. The Banelings of Serral looking for the connection on the Zerglings, but they don't find it. Great defense from Scarlett.
Really impressive hold there by Scarlett. Serral still trying to poke around with this army. It looks like, oh, I guess he possibly could have gone over to that base, but instead he wants to try to stay back and see in case Scarlett does try to counterattack. Serral may end up getting pinned over here if any of these Banelings can actually connect with this.
Does take a nice little trade to start things out, though. Catches a few of Scarlett's Zerglings that were trying to run off to counterattack. Serral, though, down about 8 workers right now. He's going into a Roach Warren and a second gas behind this, but we've got a Roach Warren and 2 more gases for Scarlett. She seems to be ahead in just about every regard. The pressure is on Serral. He's got to find some edge with these Zerglings. It's
interesting. Every time we have a skirmish, I'll look back down at the bottom of the screen and see that Scarlett has snuck out a few more workers here and there. Scarlett does seem to be a little bit more effective with her aggression overall throughout the series than Serral's. Scarlett is trying to slowly bully the rest of these Zerglings back so that they can get out of her territory.
Zerglings poking in, trying to pick off these Banelings with individual Zerglings, but Scarlett will not buy it. Her Banelings constantly avoiding them and just kind of sitting there solid on the defense. And ooh, a big Baneling detonation for Serral. Gets about 12 Zerglings. A nice hit.
As you can see, Serral beginning to back up. Scarlett becoming a real threat on this map. Now, while this was all going down, Serral did manage to catch up as far as his workers in this game, but I'm curious to see how he's going to handle this push that's coming in here from Scarlett. Scarlett testing the perimeters of Serral's base to try to get a read on it. How much exactly does he have? And this actually could be hugely problematic with these Banelings coming in here.
A lot of Roaches coming in. Good detonation there from Serral to delay those Banelings being morphed. Takes a bunch of them out, but there's a lot of Roaches coming in. Scarlett, she is committing to this assault. A ton of Zerglings and Banelings. It's a Roach, Zergling, Baneling attack. She wants to finish the game. She wants to bring the aggression. Serral bringing every single Queen to the front. He's desperate to hold on.
As you can see here, these Roaches are coming up now. I don't believe that Serral might have enough. The rest of these Banelings are about to detonate on this army. And that's going to be a serious bruising there as Scarlett continues to press forward.
Ooh, those Zerglings of Serral evading the Banelings very well, but all of his Roaches are exhausted. The Spine Crawler goes down before it can finish, and this is a big army of Roaches inside the expansion of Serral. A Baneling gets a massive hit on the drones. And that might just be it.
Scarlett. I think this is the tipping point here. 35 workers now gone down, and that's it. GG. Scarlett wins 3-1 versus Serral after his most recent
WCS championship.
Yeah, incredible.
Wow.
Showing that Scarlett globally is still a dominant force, and you can see the emotions all around here. Scarlett overjoyed in a frustrating moment for Serral, understandably so.
Hello, gentlemen. What a phenomenal win there for Scarlett over, as you say, the WCS champion in Serral. And I'll be honest, I didn't expect a 3-1 going Scarlett's way.
I mean, if Scarlett was going to take it, I think we thought it would be a 3-2 for sure, but she came out of the gate swinging. I love the way she played that series. She just kept on bringing out the wild builds, the aggressive builds. I feel like Serral just never got a chance to get in his comfort zone, and that's what you got to do when you're playing against the WCS champion.
Right. I mean, the control exhibited there by Scarlett, especially when she's having to deal, Nick, with those kind of Baneling Ling attacks and bringing the Queens out to the very front to be able to focus down the Banelings to solve half of the problem was a very impressive move.
Yeah, the way she had improvisationally just set up defense and making this obstacle course that was so hard to actually maneuver through was really impressive. And then the moment that the action seesawed back onto the other side of the map, it did not seem like Serral had the same level of defense. In fact, I almost feel like in that series, Serral was not anticipating aggression like that from Scarlett, because in pretty much every game, the moment that Scarlett started to attack, Serral was just not ready.
Yeah, and for Scarlett, you know, we've mentioned yesterday someone who has been able to grab themselves a round of 16 in GSL, one of the most prestigious tournaments in StarCraft 2, to defeat a WCS champion like Serral, who is currently riding that momentum of a high at the moment. That's a really big victory for her moving through to the round of 4.
This is huge. You know, I was touting Serral as the favorite for the whole tournament. I am happy to eat my words here, and I'm sure Scarlett herself, she's saying this is one of the biggest challenges. As a tournament player, you look at the bracket, you say, here's the big opponents I have to get through to make it to the finals, and there was no doubt about it. She was looking at Serral as the biggest obstacle. She was fully focused on solving this problem. Now she gets to go on to the semifinals with a sigh of relief and can take a step forward here.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Time now to hear from Scarlett. She's got to be elated after that victory. Let's head over to Smix.
Congratulations, Scarlett. This is your first semifinal in nearly a year and a half since 2016. So, I mean, what's going through your head, especially taking down the recent WCS Leipzig champion in Serral?
I'm just really happy right now. That last game, when he disconnected, I wasn't sure if he left or he disconnected. So I was like asking him, did you leave? What happened? But yeah, I'm really, really happy that I finally managed to win.
Well, it was a 3-1 for you, a really impressive performance from your part. When I talked to Laser earlier, he said, despite the fact that Serral is so mechanically gifted, you are in a way more difficult to prepare for because you're more unpredictable. So when it came into this matchup, how did you decide to prepare for your strategies against Serral?
I asked Blythe for a lot of help. He's my teammate and he has kind of weird strategies. Yeah, Serral's really good. He's like, he plays a very standard style, like similar things every game. So he's definitely easier to prepare for, whereas I have a ZVZ style that the Europeans don't really know and don't know what to do against. So I think that definitely helped me.
Well, now in the semifinal, you're going up against another European, Zerg, who I just mentioned a little bit earlier, and a Laser. And I was looking at your head-to-heads, and he is a bit ahead in that regard. But taking down someone so strong like Serral, does that give you some more confidence going up against him?
Yeah, it gives me more confidence. I think Serral is definitely a little bit better than a Laser, so that means if I can beat Serral, then I can beat a Laser. So I'm looking forward to trying to make it to the grand finals.
I'm sure your fans are happy to hear that. Congratulations and good luck tomorrow.
Phenomenal results for Canada there as Scarlett marches on to the round of 4. She's going to be playing against Eliza here tomorrow, in fact, as our first best of 5 down the line. And here is the bracket to confirm exactly the road that those players have taken, with Scarlett taking a 3-1 over a WCS champion, and she kept all of the games so varied in a matchup that can sometimes, fall into usual trends.
That was beautiful play, I think, out of Scarlett to really mix it up, opening up with the Mutas as well, keeping Serral wondering. We have yet to have a 3-2 in this tournament. Like, a lot of these players are very evenly matched, but somehow the wins are so decisive out of whoever's hungrier, whoever prepared better, and this just keeps on happening.
I love seeing, and Scarlett brought this up, is that she has that X factor about her where she plays a lot with the Koreans and also the North American StarCraft. We do a lot of weird stuff over in NA. European players,
You do.
You have no idea what we've got going on. And Scarlett bringing that up, saying, hey, the European Zergs don't know exactly how to play against me. I play against them, but they don't play against the people that I practice with. And Scarlett brings that to the table, and I think makes a really awesome upset against the WCS champion because Serral should be the best non-Korean Zerg player.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm going to head on down Kylaris Avenue as we head over to the screen to join Artosis to give us a bit of an insight as to what may have happened in Game 1, I think, to begin with.
Yeah, well, everyone keeps bringing up this fact that Scarlett plays a different style. Serral plays much more normally. So let's take a look at it. Game number 1 was the masked Mutalisk game, and that's not very normal. That's not as powerful an army as what Serral was going for. You see here, Serral is getting ready for a massive attack. He's adding a few lurkers into there, trying to get his army all together to move out against this very mobile Mutalisk composition. So you see he's walking down here and attacking Scarlett. Now this army is actually stronger than what Scarlett has. She has mobility, she has speed, but actually the strength goes over to Serral here. And we'll see that showcased in just a moment. Notice she's trying to slow him down. He's already killed a base here. She comes up, and then the Lurkers burrow. Watch this now. She's going to come up with all her units, and the Lurker spines tell her, oh, you can't engage this right now. And this is where Scarlett really shows the brilliance of her play and why she's so difficult to actually go ahead and defeat. She goes for the counterattack. She's so fast with this army that she goes and starts killing off some bases and picking off a lot of the units that are being rallied out at this point. Like, Serral needs to build his army that he's attacking with. And when she goes over and does a huge amount of damage to him, killing so many drones, killing so many of these units, eventually she decides, okay, it's time to fly back. It's time to clean this up because his army hasn't been reinforced. And as she comes back, we take a pause right here. You notice that no other units are coming across the map. You can see this base has been killed off right here. Some additional damage was dealt up here by all of Scarlett's Zerglings. But she still has 3 bases. One here, one here, one here. And what are you going to do as Serral? No other units are coming. She just uses that mobility against him. Just brilliant play out of Scarlett here.
I think one thing that's cool about it is that Mutalist play in this matchup is kind of encompassed by the phrase of high risk, high reward, right?
Absolutely. You really have to be such an expert to play a game like Scarlett played here. You know, it's really up to Serral how that game is going to go, and she has to react, and she reacted perfectly.
Is that all the games that you have for us?
That is it.
Thank you very much, Artosis, for joining us here at the Telestration desk as we now are going to go to a short break here for the Intel Extreme Masters. And when we come back, more roundabout action here for StarCraft 2.
StarCraft is a real-time strategy RTS computer game, published by Blizzard Entertainment and was originally released in 1998.